Welcome back to another episode of Stacking Dennys. I'm Jordan McAbee of RotoBaller. My co-host Nick Giffen of the Action Network. Ryan Blaney finally gets a victory in 2025 in pretty dominant fashion for what it was at Nashville. He got the lead. He didn't look back. Carson Hocevar comes in second, finally gets a good finish for him. He's now on the playoff bubble. Denny Hamlin, who was the pre-race favorite, he led a bunch of laps as well. He finished third. Joey Logano wound up fourth. William Byron fifth. Bubba Wallace overcomes an early pit road speeding penalty after track position was the name of the game at Nashville. He overcomes that, finishes sixth. Eric Jones, a solid race, finishing seventh. Larson overcomes the worst car he's had all season, he said, pre-race. Struggled all weekend to find speed, finally got up there, finished eighth at the end of it. Reddick, Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, they kind of faded as that race went on, finished 9th through 11th. But again, Ryan Blaney in victory lane at Nashville Super Speedway. Nick, what'd you think of that race?
Tale of two races there. I thought the first half of the race, up to that three car battle for the lead, I thought was pretty good. There was passing in the first half of the race, but the second half of the race, when the temperatures got cooler, it was impossible to pass. Second half of that race, for the most part, outside of restarts, it was pretty darn hard to pass. So I think they need to move it back to a day race. I think Nashville racing in the day is fantastic, and need to do more with the tires. There was non-existent fall off for this one, even in the cooler temperatures or even in the warmer temperatures of the early portion of the race and practice the day before. Fall off was basically non-existent. So would like to see Nashville move back into the heat of the day. But yeah, kind of a tale of two races for me.
Yeah, it was definitely, I thought it was the opposite though. I felt like there was no passing at the beginning and then passing once we got into night.
No, I definitely thought it was the second half of that race was pretty much
I know
one car train.
That was a lot of it as well, just overall, because like you said, the restarts are fun. They sit there and they go crazy on restarts. We saw good ones there, but yeah, once they actually get out, there's not much going on. And we saw like a little bit, like I thought Prime did a very good job of kind of hyping up whether Hocevar was going to catch Blaney. I think we all really knew that Carson Hocevar was not going to get there and catch Blaney. Denny Hamlin wasn't going to get there and catch him. Blaney had the best car. He had the best car in practice. Once he got the lead, really didn't look back. But overall,
he had the best car in his practice group. It was just really hard to know how would that compare to the second practice group, because the second practice group was faster, just way faster. So it's like, okay, well, how much? And I did upward adjust Blaney in flags for the group he was in, but it's like, how much do you adjust? How do you know if he should be ranked number one or not? So that's why I wrote him up as a tournament play in my DFS article, because if I wasn't adjusting that group up enough, Blaney was going to be like, okay, you got to play him in tournaments, because just in terms of the numbers, in terms of like 5, 10, 15 laps, but even in flags, it was all group two, right? It was those 4 cars from group two. It was Byron, Chastain, Reddick, and Hamlin that looked the best. Those 4 looked the best just in terms of practice times. But again, different track conditions, a little more rubbered in, etc. And plus, we had those early spins with Josh Berry and Kyle Busch in practice group 2. So it really threw off the comparisons. So it was like, okay, how much am I supposed to adjust group 1 versus group 2? And it's kind of a judgment call because you don't really know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I also wrote up Blaney as a tournament play for DraftKings. And my in addition to the fast practice speed, comparatively speaking, because like you said, he was in group 1, he also qualified 15th, which the first practice group did not qualify well because they went out early. So the fact that he was able to qualify 15th, I'm like, this is a damn good car. They got a ton of speed, he can get up there. But another good note or interesting thing about this race, I know a lot of us in the betting community were very excited. My focus wasn't on the leaders. My focus wasn't on the good guys this week. I was watching Cody Ware, JJ Yaley, and Chad Fincham this week, because we got shitbox specials again from these sports books. Cody Ware versus JJ Yaley versus Chad Fincham. Man, I don't know how.
I'll tell you what, my eyes were more focused on lap times on NASCAR.com than on the race itself for all of stage 3. And I told you I wanted that race to stay green for all of stage 3, because if it did, right, Cody Ware lost a lap. He had a loose wheel or something, came back into pits and ended up a lap down. I said, if it stays, and you're like, why? Why would you want it to stay green the whole time? And I'm like, because he's half a second a lap faster, minimum, right? If he's half a second a lap faster over a 100 lap green flag run, that's 50 seconds. That's more than a lap he's going to make up on JJ Yeley. And that's exactly what happened. He made up more than a lap on JJ Yeley to take that part of the shitbox special. There was no way JJ Yeley would have beat Cody Ware if not for potentially, that loose wheel. And even JJ Yeley himself came back from multiple laps down because of all the early cautions we had.
Yep.
So just kind of something interesting there where we almost lost it from pure bad luck, but then I was happy that race stayed green. The worst thing that could have happened would have been JJ Yeley getting lapped and then a caution comes out and he's the lucky dog. Then Cody Ware would have had much less time. He would have had much less time to get his lap back and unlap himself and things like that. So I was praying for that race to stay green all the way to the end.
Yeah, shout out to Cody Ware for staying in it and getting that lap back and passing.
And shout outs to FanDuel Fanatics, because they were the ones sponsoring JJ Yeley. They were the ones who started the midweek, and then DraftKings followed along, not wanting to lose out on that. And shout outs to them setting tremendously horrible lines. So though none of those matchups were even close on speed, right? It was only a little bit of luck that even made Yeley versus Ware a sweat. And honestly, it wasn't even a sweat, because Cody Ware passed JJ Yeley with about 22 laps to go. Maybe actually about 24 laps to go. And then they pitted with 22 laps to go. And Ware had already unlapped himself from JJ Yeley and passed him at that point. Then they come into the pits and he's 3.5 seconds or 3.5 seconds faster on the in lap, on pit road, and out lap. And then, pulls away another half second to a second every lap for the final 20 laps. I mean, he was more than a half track ahead of JJ Yeley at the end of that race.
Yeah. So yes, please, sportsbooks. I would love to see the average bet size of those compared to like typical head-to-heads, because I know like you and I fucking hammer those when we get these shitbox specials, and like keep giving us these, please. We love betting on these. These are some of my favorite bets of the year. We get them twice a year, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, that was fun to watch that. And
I'll tell you what, I threw a whole bunch of manufacturer parlays in to soften up the DK account a little bit as well, since you have to do some minus EV things to allow yourself to really hammer the plus EV bets. So I was, and that's why I don't track all these dumb parlays I'm throwing in, because I don't want people tailing them. But I am trying to soften up my DK account, and again, I don't use DK much, having been Vegas guy, it's all the Vegas books, and then go over to Arizona or whatever to use DK. So it's like, all right, well, I've got this nice, healthy account. I got to keep it healthy, right? Yeah. I want to be able to get these $1,000 bets when I can. And yes, I was $1,100 to win $1,000 on JJ Yeley over Cody Ware. So, that's what
Cody Ware over Yeley.
Cody Ware over JJ Yeley. I was $1,100 to win $1,000 on that at DraftKings, because it's a sports book, honestly, that I just don't use a ton, and so I have a nice healthy account there.
Yeah. Side note, also shout out to Carl Kirkwood for getting the win in the IndyCar series this weekend at Detroit. Solid win there.
Yeah, I feel a little bad about this one, because you and I got him at 8-1, and we moved the line. So I couldn't even track it in the Action app, because we moved him to 6, and his longest was like 6.5 at anywhere else at that point. And Detroit's enough of a chaos race. It's kind of like betting the favorites at a super speedway or something, right? Like, it's so hard to do. So when it got to 8, I was like, okay, bet it now. You and I bet it, and we moved the line. Like, just the two of us moved the line. So I couldn't even track it in the Action app, because I was like, I can't give it out at 6-1. And you had asked me early in the week, because you're like, are we betting Kirkwood this week? I was like, just wait. I think we're going to see a longer number, because some other guys are going to get bet down. But hopefully some people were able to grab him live because I tracked him also live at plus 125, I think it was. But yeah, IndyCar continue, and all the head-to-head matchups I won. I won a 10X on Grid Rival. Just IndyCar continues to just fucking slay this year, man. It's just absolutely destroying IndyCar. I love it.
Yeah, always fun to see. And yeah, that was the first. I mean, I watched the Indy 500, and then now I watched a full Detroit race. So I kind of feel like
that was a good race. That was a good race.
That was fun. That was
strategy, some crashes, passing. Kyle Kirkwood passed 3 cars for the lead. He was running fourth when that final caution, or I guess technically second to last caution, but kind of got those guys out in front of him because they had pitted just before the caution. And on road courses, that's catching a lucky break because then everybody else comes in pits and you come out behind them. But he just passed them on pure speed. And so I thought Detroit was a fantastic race. Really, really good IndyCar race. And if you're not watching IndyCar regularly, start watching it because it is a great racing series and they're going to be going. IndyCar is good even when it's boring, right? And they're going to be going to Gateway, which of course you're racing the Cup Series in 2 weeks' time. And Gateway has always produced fantastic racing as well. David Malukas, in his rookie year, racing for little tiny Dale Coyne Racing, passed on the outside Scott McLaughlin at Gateway with a handful of laps left to finish second. So God, IndyCar is so good. I love IndyCar.
Yeah, it was a fun little race weekend between that and the NASCAR race at night. No overlap there. I watched both races. I enjoyed both races. I made money on both races. That's a fantastic race weekend.
Exactly.
Considered.
Two weekends in a row, I've profited both on NASCAR and IndyCar. We're up and up.
We're back. You're back.
I'm back. Yeah, I mean, I'm up 20 units on motorsports, not counting the Grid Rivals stuff in the last 2 weeks. So
there we go.
It won't be NASCAR specific, but just motorsports in general tracked plus 20 units the last 2 weeks. And then adding all the Grid Rival stuff I've been winning. It's been crazy.
Yeah, I wish, like I said last week, I wish I had Grid Rival here. But unfortunately I do not. And also they don't have it in Indiana, so I can't just run over there like I used to do either before sports betting was legal in Ohio. Yeah. But a couple of surprises getting back to Nashville here quick. Ross Chastain looked really good in practice. He qualified 5th, was never a real contender here on Sunday night. Ended up finishing 11th, kind of falling back, was 10th in stage 1, didn't even crack the top 10 in stage 2. Little bit of a surprise for him coming off that Coca-Cola 600 win at one of his best tracks. Nashville's always been a very good track for Chastain. Kind of weird there to see that, but it might have been my 36 for 36 jinx, because I screw everybody that I pick in there.
And I had him the week before in 36 for 36, and I was really stoked about that. What was a plus 27 or plus 26.9, and I think you didn't have a bad race. You finished 11th, but it's just kind of like a middle of the road result for him, I guess.
Yeah. But about the only other kind of noteworthy thing coming out of Nashville as far as controversy goes is Hocevar and Stenhouse. Stenhouse ended up wrecked. Hocevar basically said it'd be a waste of time to apologize, and Stenhouse basically said I'm going to get him back at some point. Kind of, I don't know. I think Hocevar said he's not going to change his driving style, and Spire kind of backed him up and said they don't expect him to, but also it's kind of like a Ross Chastain, maybe be a little bit more aware of your surroundings and tone it down a little bit,
Is it one about a time?
we can transition into that because go ahead. We'll go ahead and go right to mine about it.
All right. Well, because I'm not a Carson Escobar fan. I got a little whine about it with him.
Yeah.
So we're going mimosa.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah. Jordan's excited. I asked my girlfriend before the pod, I was like, which one should I grab? And she goes, get the mimosa. So
yes.
This is the mimosa, orange mimosa passion by LuvaBella wine. It's fucking fantastic. I haven't even sipped it because I was just pouring it, but I already know it's fucking fantastic because we have it all the time from past couple years.
The best. That's my favorite one.
And Luvabella not only has sponsored us, but they sponsored Stephen Malazzi, and Malazzi had Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on his podcast, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. said he'll be going to Outback instead of Chili's. So
yes,
gotta love that. Right. So some tie-ins there, but my whine about it is Carson Hocevar and his aggressive driving style is exactly what NASCAR needs. I both agree and disagree with that. I think having an aggressive driver, a personality, even if I don't like his personality, is good. I agree with all that, but he's not Dale Earnhardt. I'm seeing like Dale Earnhardt comparisons. I'm like, he's not Dale Earnhardt. What he's doing is he's right rear hooking people and putting them into the wall. Now, he didn't do that with Stenhouse here, but and then, people are like, oh, he's Ross Chastain before Chastain was nerfed. I agree more with that, but even then, Ross Chastain wasn't intentionally right rear hooking people. Ross Chastain just made a lot of aggressive mistakes. What I think happened here with Hocevar and Stenhouse was an aggressive mistake. I fully blame Hocevar for that, but it was an aggressive mistake, and I'm okay with that. You're allowed to make aggressive mistakes, but it's still a mistake. You're still the one at fault for that. Just like Ross was at fault for some of those that he made aggressive mistakes on. But I can't ever say a driver that has done, I can count at least 3, maybe 4 left and or right rear intentional hooks is exactly what NASCAR needs. So, and the Dale Earnhardt comparisons are just asinine. Do I think Hocevar is immensely talented? Absolutely. He is a fantastic driver. When he gets in that Hendrick Motorsports equipment down the road, he is going to be a championship threat, no doubt. But, there's a lot of weird comparisons going on out there, and I don't fully agree with them. Definitely don't agree with the Earnhardt comparison. I more agree with the pre-nerfed Ross Chastain comparison for sure. I mean, they were teammates, right? At Spire in the Truck Series, and Ross and Hocevar even had a little disagreement earlier this year that they kind of talked through and didn't see eye to eye on even after talking through it. So I think Hocevar is good for the sport in the long run, but I'm not there yet with him having proved that he isn't a complete menace on the track yet.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is there's not, I don't know if there's good ways for him to actually prove that, because like if he gets blocked or anything stupid happens, him not right rear hooking somebody is the expectation. But at the same time, if it happens, then it's just, oh, that's Hocevar. Like he's still a piece of shit. I don't know if he can
but for some reason, people keep giving him a pass on those. Like there are people
I know, and I don't
understand
that at all.
What, dude? The dude's done it like 3 or 4 times, and it doesn't keep stopping, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. He's gonna lose his brain again. We're getting a little bit of that with Austin Cindric lately. I think it hasn't happened in a handful of races, but there were 2 or 3 times recently Austin Cindric has kind of done that, and I'm not a fan of that either. Yeah, exactly. Coda. And then there was another race this year where he did it, but got away with it. I forget which one it was, but it was a few weeks later. And I was like, I can't believe he didn't get like fined or suspended for that one. I mean, Carson Hocevar, absolutely immensely talented. He's going to win a race sooner than later. Absolutely kicking the shit out of Ty Gibbs, and Ty Gibbs is in Joe Gibbs racing equipment, right? Like if you want to compare 2 young drivers, you can tell which one at current is the more talented driver. It's the one ahead of the other in the standings, despite being in worse equipment. So, I mean, I do think Carson Hocevar is good for the sport, but I'm not ready to anoint him as like this amazing, awesome driver that's going to be the savior of NASCAR. You know what I mean? Just come on. People are being ridiculous.
Yeah, and he definitely has to get the aggression under control, but he's also not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Similar to when, to me, this is exactly like Ross Chastain before he got his nuts cut off. Any situation that is going to be close, Hocevar is going to get blamed. But who we haven't talked about in a while, wrecking people, is Ross Chastain. It's just not come up because of that happened. So, but yeah, Hocevar, as far as speed and everything, it is refreshing to see Spire Motorsports come up and have this type of speed. I mean, he could have won the Coke 600. If Blaney had just a small issue there at the end, I think he would have won at Nashville. Hocevar, as far as his teammates, you look at Spire Motorsports as a whole. Again, we talked about Justin Haley last week and how far behind he is lagging when it comes to his teammates. Michael McDowell is one of those guys that doesn't make mistakes, but also doesn't really wow you. He might end up with a couple top 10s here and there, but he's not going to go out there and do what Hocevar does, where, he's up there challenging for the win. So now, like Hocevar, to me, it is such different tiers, and it's wild to see within one organization where Hocevar is way up here, McDowell's here, and Justin Haley's this far down.
And not to get too far ahead of ourselves for Michigan, but like I'm seeing Hocevar 25-1, and I'm seeing Justin Haley 250-1, right? Like, when you're an order of magnitude of odds worse than your teammate, and it's not good. It's not good. And here's the other thing. I'm supposed to, as an Andretti fan, like Spire Motorsports. And I do. I like Spire Motorsports. I like the direction they're heading. I am a fan of the team. I don't like any of their drivers right now. I'm not a Carson Hocevar fan. I've never liked Michael McDowell. And we talked about Justin Haley last week, and I think the issues around him, and I've never really liked Justin Haley either. So, Hocevar will be moving on to bigger and better teams. And I do think Spire is going to become a bigger and better team as the years go by as well. And I am a fan of that, but not a fan of the drivers. And like I said, and McDowell's kind of on the waning end of his career, and Haley has kind of proven maybe he's just an Xfinity driver.
Yeah, I agree. You mentioned odds, and it's kind of crazy to consider. This week Hocevar, the best you can get him right now is 20-1 over at BetMGM. I think he did open there at 25, but he got bet down. But we're talking like he has the same odds as Chris Buescher and Ross Chastain. Buescher, who is a recent winner here at Michigan. Chastain, who just won the Coke 600. Better odds than Keselowski, who this is one of his best tracks in the next gen era. Bubba Wallace is 25-1. Like Hocevar, betting markets are taking notice, and I don't think it's misguided there. Like this is actual,
completely agree.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't really like, just to close out the Carson Hocevar thing.
Yeah,
I don't really like him as a person, but I enjoy watching him on the racetrack, and I enjoy seeing what the speed that he does, and just
I just think
I want to see him win.
And
those are ridiculous.
I think it's a little far-fetched. Like he's not going to be the Dale Earnhardt that gets everybody back into NASCAR. He's just not.
No,
he will. He is good for the sport. I fully think he's good for the sport. I don't think right rears and left rears are good for the sport. But if he doesn't do those anymore, he's very good for the sport. But he's some of the comparisons out there are ridiculous. And that was kind of my whine about it, was about those types of comparisons.
Yeah. Completely agree. Purple Rain again. I forgot it last, so I'm just gonna
no rain.
No rain. Yeah, let's hope for no rain in Michigan on Sunday.
I already finished this, so I'm gonna join you in straight out of the bottle.
So my whine about it is I saw a tweet. I think it was from Gluck. It might have been from somebody else. It was one of the bigger NASCAR media guys. And the gist of it was that they're tired of hearing about people complain about Prime because you can get a free trial, you can watch it for free, you don't have to pay for it. And I agree. I'm 100% on board with streaming. My previous job a while back, I was developing their streaming platform. I've been big into streaming for a long time. I'm a big proponent of it. I love it. I love Prime. I love what they're doing, how it looks, everything. I think it's the future. But not lost on that is the fact that a lot of fans, it is a pain in the ass to set up Prime to watch a race. Now, relatively speaking, for most people, or not for most people, but for a lot of people, it's not. If you have a Fire Stick, if you have an Apple TV, you click a couple buttons, you get your app on. But for people that don't, and it is still a big portion of this country, they might have Amazon Prime, but they don't watch Prime Video, and they don't have it set up to easily transition to watch it on their TVs. It is still a pain in the ass for these people to do this. And I feel like that's getting lost in all of this. Like, yes, I understand it's easy. Yes, I understand people can watch it for free. But even just this last Sunday, I was going to go out with my friends. I'm like, hey, let's go out to a bar. Let's watch the race. Like, I just want to unwind and hang out. And then like we're trying to make plans, and I'm like, honestly, I don't know if they're going to have the race on because I don't know if they have Amazon Prime set up. And that was just like an indirect kind of pain in the ass thing. I ended up just watching it here, you know, because I knew I had Prime here. I didn't want to mess with it. I didn't want to go start driving around to different bars and figuring it out. So yeah, my why about it is yes, I understand streaming is awesome. I'm fully on board with that. I understand how easy it is. And in the grand scheme of things, it is very easy, but there's also a lot of people, one, that do not like change. And two, let's not forget the fact that it is not the easiest thing just to get Amazon Prime hooked up and going. Like I have to drive out to my parents' house for them to watch the race and, you know, take a half hour out of my day to go do that. Mm-hmm. And I don't care about doing it, but it's still the fact that when I look back at that and I'm done with that, I'm like, yeah, that is kind of a pain in the ass. Like I gotta switch off their cable box, do all this, blah, blah,
blah. And this isn't Amazon Prime, but just streaming in general, right? Like there's a lot to it. So PJ Walsh, my coworker at Action Network, does some motorsports stuff, but mostly deals with a lot of our subscription stuff, but used to do more motorsports content. He missed the Indy 500 because he went to go, you know, Memorial Day weekend, you go see friends and family, go travel, do things, whatever. Well, wherever he was for his trip, he was visiting, I think, a family member or a friend or something. They cut the cord, right? They're no longer doing cable, but then they couldn't figure out how to watch the Indy 500. Yeah. And PJ's like, how do I watch this? They don't have cable. I'm like, wow. Yeah. Like, what do you do? And I guess, you know, like it's not that easy. And it's the same thing, like going to a bar. I'm not going to go to a bar to watch a NASCAR race on Prime because chances are the bar doesn't have Prime.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it actually is harder. It really is harder than, you know, I mean, technology is always evolving. Like think about just any technology. It doesn't matter what it is, but think about any technology. Like there will be early adapters and there won't be. And it's understandable, especially with the older crowd, and NASCAR has a very old audience, that it's going to be harder for them to adapt. So I get, like you said, I get the gist of the tweet, but at the same time, it is not as simple as, oh, just get a free trial Prime, you know, and whatever. Yeah. It might be for people our age, but not necessarily for the older crowd. You know, even PJ, who's my age, is like, how the hell do I watch this?
What do I do? Yeah.
Maybe do you do like, do they have YouTube TV? Can they do a free trial of YouTube TV or something? You know, I didn't even know. I didn't have an answer, and I wasn't about to give answers because he messages me this right when the race is starting. I'm like, dude, I'm watching the race. So
right. Yeah.
I'm fully absorbed in the 500, not answering tech questions, but I get it. I agree with you. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, here's a comment that came in. It's not that you need Prime, it's that you need Prime in addition to, yeah, I understand that. And that's where the argument of the, you know, the free trial and everything comes out. This is also though a step in the right direction. Like Prime is never going to come in and say, we want 36 races. You know, they need to do this test, and hopefully it continues to expand. You know, hopefully instead of Fox and NBC, it becomes Prime and NBC. You know, like that would be the ideal situation moving forward. But this is just like the step in the right direction, I think. And if anything, like it's shown what's capable of these broadcasts, because once again, you know, it's a good watch with Prime.
Yep.
But that's going to do it for Louisville, or for Wine About It. Presented by LuvaBella. Yeah. Presented by LuvaBella Winery. As always, check them out, LuvaBella.com. Get those wines shipped directly to you. And shout out the Brew Kettle, of course, with their beers. I do not have one today. Not in the beer mood today. It's hot. It's been hot here lately, and beer, I don't know. I enjoy it on some hot days, but not now. I don't know. I'm weird. All right. Point standings after Nashville. William Byron maintains the points lead, 48 points over Kyle Larson. Not a lot of changes here. We got Hamlin jumping up 2 spots to 4th. Bubba Wallace cracks the top 10 with his 6th place finish. Kyle Busch gets in now. We're looking at the playoff picture. Chris Buescher's in. Kyle Busch is now on the cut line. Ryan Preece drops. He is now out by 2 points. Carson Hocevar is out by 4 points. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is out by 6 points. Allmendinger's out by 7 points.
Crazy cut line.
Tight.
Crazy.
Yes. And
McDowell's 6 from that, and John Hunter Nemechek is 11 from that, and Todd Gilliland 6 from that, and then Derek Jones is 2 from that, and then Zane Smith is 4 from that, and Austin Dillon's like, this is crazy. This is an awesome cut line right now, and even if guys outside the cut line win, all it's going to do is bring the Eric Jones a little bit further away, but it's going to bring in Chris Buescher or Austin Cindric. Well, Cindric has a win, but like some guys that are, a little bit ahead is still going to be tight for at least the next 1 or 2 outside wins.
Yeah. And it's a bunch of guys. I would like guys that we weren't particularly talking about for the playoffs coming into this season. Ryan Preece, Carson Hocevar, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Allmendinger, Barry. Like,
the only reason you would ever talk about Allmendinger for the playoffs is winning a road course, right? Or a super speedway. But
now all of a sudden he has a ton of speed. I mean, he had good speed here at Nashville, and then he got hit with that penalty right before practice, but he still looked good in practice. Wasn't really able to overcome it for the race. I think he ended up like about 20th. But Allmendinger, has been strong. Like, talked about him last week, has exceeded my expectations every week pretty much as far as speed. So
especially in the intermediates, which we're going to this week, and always a threat at the road courses and super speedways. So it's I mean, hey, he finished 9th at Bristol. He had the fastest lap of the race, finished 8th at Las Vegas, 7th at Homestead. These are all tracks that use the intermediate package. And of course, 4th at Charlotte, right? Like, the dude can top 10 pretty much anywhere these days, except maybe a couple of the short flats. It seems like he's struggled with, which, funny enough, used to be his bread and butter outside of road courses.
Yeah, it's weird. And I don't think enough, like, I don't think even enough like the broadcasts and the NASCAR media people in general are talking about how good and fast Allmendinger has been, and Colleague in general, because you look at Ty Dillon, he's had decent speed for what it is. For what Ty Dillon is, he's had decent speed this year. He's had top 20 cars in several races, which typically he doesn't. So yeah, it's going to be fun watching him moving forward. Like, we got Mexico City next week. That road course, not really sure what to expect there, but obviously a road course, Allmendinger should be good. As far as the rest of the point standings, though, not a lot of other big changes. Brad Keselowski, 32nd in points, must win. We did lock in the 32 guys in the in-season tournament. NASCAR is now going to use the next 3 races, and your best finish over those 3 races will determine the seeding, which is just a weird way to do it. I don't think a lot of people read that in the preseason or whenever they announced it that's how they were going to do it.
I thought it was weird that it came out as like this week as like people realizing that, because I've known about that for a couple weeks now or whatever. But I see a lot of people whining about that. Like, why not just use the point standings? Whatever. Okay, sure, they could use that, or they could do what they're doing here. I honestly don't fucking care, because it's a bunch of head-to-head races for the actual tournament, and we're using the most random ass tracks anyway. So I don't really care. Like, we're using Atlanta to kick things off. Who cares what the seating is if you're at a fucking drafting track? Then we're using the street course at Chicago, and then a road course at Sonoma. Like, I don't give a shit what your seating is, because it almost doesn't matter. I don't care how they seed it, really. Because based off the tracks they've chosen for the in-season tournament, especially the first 3 rounds, I don't really care about your seeding.
And the reason that they did the seeding this way, I think, is to have more talking points during the race of like, oh, he's
Denny Hamlin versus Tyler Reddick is a matchup in the first round. Yeah,
they get an extra 3 weeks to talk about it. But
I think it's kind of a genius move from NASCAR to do that, because it is a talking point now, rather than it being Denny Hamlin versus Cody Ware, at Las Vegas or something. Like, that's not a talking point.
Shit. What did you just say? I had a point, and now it completely just left my mind.
Oh, just about the seating and what, use year long points, and then
tracks
for the
Atlanta. It's not Atlanta anymore.
Oh, right. Echo Park.
Naming Echo Park Speedway or something.
Which again, I have so many whine about it. It's like the whine about people complaining about the seating. I don't fucking care. The whine about renaming it Echo Park. Okay, but didn't you want big sponsors in the sport? Like, isn't that what we wanted? Is sponsors are leaving? I thought we want big sponsors, etc. I think I retweeted something about that when I saw that. But yeah, NASCAR fans, why can't NASCAR get sponsors like back in the day? I miss Lowe's Motor Speedway. Also, NASCAR fans, I'm not ever going to call it Echo Park for the inconvenience.
Like, did I see something where Echo Park is owned by Marcus Smith though?
Yeah, but
so I think one argument I saw that made sense to me was that he'll blow his money to name a super speedway, but he won't improve his current tracks and stuff like that. That is the only yes. But I don't care what you call anything.
But is he blowing the money if he's just doing it?
Just right. Yeah.
I don't think he's actually blowing the money. He's just renaming it.
Yeah, I don't know what it all entails, but yeah, I thought that was a weird news break the other day. I was like,
it was. It is weird, but like in the grand scheme of things,
nobody's gonna call it Echo Park. Everybody's gonna call it Atlanta. Just like we don't call Gateway Worldwide Technology
Raceway, we just call it Gateway.
Yeah.
Auto Club was like kind of the one that people took to a little bit, but a lot of people still called it Fontana. Well, a lot of people still called it Fontana, or a lot of people still called it California Speedway or whatever. And then you're right. Yeah. Like nobody called it Lowe's Motor Speedway. All called it Charlotte.
No, I think back in the day it was Lowe's. It was pretty.
I still called it Charlotte.
Because
before that it was Charlotte, right? So to me, it's always been Charlotte. I never called it Lowe's Motor Speedway ever.
What was it? Sonoma and Infineon? Infineon?
Yeah, and Sears Point and all sorts of things for Sonoma.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my random point there. But anything else here in these point standings that stick out to you outside of could be an amazing points battle depending on how many outside winners
it comes right back to Hocevar Stenhouse, right? Hocevar finishes second, Stenhouse finishes 39th, and now Hocevar's ahead of Stenhouse in the points by 2. So you can just punt your competition to get ahead of them in the point standings.
I saw a tweet earlier this week. I think there was a mark that basically said if you were a certain point or a certain number of points this far into the season, no one has ever pointed their way into the playoffs. And I'm looking at the guys that have not won that are kind of close. Like obviously Busher, but Bowman's up there. Chase Briscoe's there. Bubba Wallace. None of them have wins. Reddick, I think Reddick and Chase Elliott don't have wins, but it would take an epic collapse for those two not to come to be in the playoffs. So I think like the top 9, I think are pretty solid.
Yeah. Bubba no driver with less than 300 points after 14 races has ever pointed their way into the playoffs.
Okay. After 14. Okay. So that would be Chris Busher on down.
Yep.
And that makes sense because we do expect, we expect probably what? 2 outside winners?
Couple at least. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense because Busher's sitting there 14th in points right now, 297 points. We get 2 more outside winners and he's below the cut line. So
yep.
Yeah, interesting stat there. And it will be fun watching this playoff bubble or cut line. I mean, as the season continues to progress.
Or who knows, maybe Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Bell just like win out and then we will get a below 300er at this point in the season to get in on points.
Yeah, that's valid. And certainly like as we get further and further into this new car, quote unquote new car, the wins will start continuing to go to the top guys. Anything else with these standings before we get to Michigan?
No, just go again, circling back to Ty Gibbs. Just how garbage is he?
I'll tell you what.
Nashville is supposed to be a good track for him. He is garbage.
I'll tell you what. Spoiler alert, I'm on Ty Gibbs for Michigan.
Nope.
I really like Ty Gibbs this week.
Nope. Ain't doing it.
I told you.
Trap.
I told you
that trap.
I hate Ty Gibbs. I'm never on him. I like Ty Gibbs this week. I might bet him outright.
Nope.
He might be my pick to win.
Nope.
I have my reasons. Like I said, we have some hot takes here.
I don't care what your reasons are. He is hot garbage, especially on the intermediates. He's been worse on the intermediates than anywhere else.
He was decent at Charlotte, which is using the same tires this week at Michigan. He's also going out early in qualifying. Temperatures are going to be cooler.
I don't care about that. Qualifying doesn't matter. We saw AJ Allmendinger drive from 35th to 13th or 12th or whatever it was last year.
Track position still matters a little bit.
Nah, not at the widest track in the one of the widest tracks in the whole series. Nah.
What we need to do a little friendly wager on where Ty Gibbs finishes this week. Set a line for his finishing position. One that you would feel confident that can't lose. Like not egregious, but like what, 14 and a half?
I was literally going to say 14 and a half. How funny is that?
Give me the under.
I'll take the over. I'll take the over.
All right. Loser sends what, $50 to a charity?
Yes.
All right. Deal. Shake.
Easy deal.
God, I can't believe I just bet on Ty Gibbs.
Again, apparently.
Yeah, again. I don't hate him this week. I'm telling you. I just have a feeling. It's a gut feeling. But anyway, we are on to Michigan International Speedway. 3 races here in the next gen era. Ford has won 9 of the last 10 races at Michigan. That streak was ended last year by Tyler Reddick. Ended up in victory lane on a rain-delayed race at Michigan. Went to victory lane in that race. Was also one of the best cars in the year prior. He only led 15 laps last year after starting second, but did get the win. 3 next-gen races and 3 different winners: Kevin Harvick, Chris Buescher, and Tyler Reddick. Last year at Michigan was also the race that we saw Corey LaJoie flip over on the backstretch. And it had a little bit of a wild finish. So we got Zane Smith finishing top 10 last year, who had no business really finishing top 10 last year. Ryan Preece finished 11th, who did not run good all race. And even I think this was the race you mentioned earlier. Daniel Hemrick had decent speed here last year as well. But Tyler Reddick at the end of the race was the best car. Had 5 different guys lead over 20 laps. Kyle Larson led 41. He got in a wreck, or he spun out coming off of turn 4, I think. Chase Elliott was up there. Truex was really good here in the with Joe Gibbs Racing. Toyota's been really strong here at Michigan overall. But what are your thoughts for this race, and how do we kind of handicap this at a track that we only visit once a year and we no longer have a direct comp with because we don't go to Auto Club?
Auto Club was never a direct comp either, though, because of the tire wear.
It was just the 2 mile. But
yeah,
you mentioned Chicago or Charlotte. We just ran Coco 600. They're bringing the same experiment tire that they ran at Charlotte. Probably the best direct comparison, I'd say, this year. You throw in.
You asked me, and then you answered it yourself. It's like,
Las Vegas and Kansas throwing those in there as well. But
Texas too, because Michigan's in that like closer to lower tire wear, but not exactly low. So you still got to pull in some Texas as well. But more of just from the speed aspect, because Texas is fast. Horsepower, fast, lower tire wear, but I think in terms of actual racing, it'll be more like a Charlotte or a Kansas. And those are also the 2 most recent intermediate tracks that aren't Nashville, because Nashville's so weird. I think you pull in Charlotte, Kansas, a little bit of Texas and Vegas, I would say, are down the totem pole a bit. But also fucking practice flags, man. This is going to be a practice flags race. And the 2 races where practice flags fucking destroyed were Charlotte and Kansas, which we're saying are kind of 1A and 1B or 1 and 2 type deal. I think you're going to see a massive emphasis for me on practice flags this week, maybe even more than the past few weeks.
Going back to my kind of point about qualifying. So practice and qualifying this week are in the morning on Saturday, which means Group 1 is actually going to have the speed advantage because it's going to be cooler track temps. So they'll be going faster, and that's going to be interesting to try to decipher and compare because, there's really not many quote unquote good guys in Group 1. They're all going to be in Group 2. Now, whether we'll see that kind of mess up qualifying, quote unquote, is going to be that, something to consider because, again, those guys that go out early should have a little bit of an advantage. Ty Gibbs goes out 5th. Alex Bowman goes out really early. And then other than that, the guys that you expect to contend for the pole and be really fast in qualifying go out later in the session, which could, we could get a surprise pole winner is what I'm saying this weekend at Michigan for sure. Yeah, Ty Gibbs goes out 5th. Alex Bowman goes out 6th. Keselowski goes out 12th. He could get another go. I love Keselowski this week as well.
Definitely love Keselowski. RFK just in general, right? Like Buescher won here 2 years ago. We talked about RFK in the past 2 years at Michigan has finished 1st, 4th, 5th, and 6th or something in their 4 starts, right? So 4 top 6s here for RFK Racing in the past 2 years in their 4 starts. And now they, added Ryan Preece, so it's going to be a 3-car team. But I think an early qualifying position is nice. Alex Bowman's 26-1 to win the pole at Caesars. Who was the other guy you mentioned? Ty Gibbs. He's 10-1. Keselowski's 12-1. Don't hate Alex Bowman and that Hendrick Motorsports power, 26-1 for qualifying at Caesars. But you know me, I've retired from qualifying betting.
Yeah. Another guy going out early is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He could end up, with a good starting position. But any kind of mid-tier guys that you got your eyes on this weekend?
Yes. Brad Keselowski. Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace was crazy fast here last year prior to the incident that he got wrapped up in with Larson. If you look at fastest laps in last year's race, Bubba Wallace had the 5th most. But if you adjust that for what I'll call healthy car laps, because Bubba was clearly not the same after that incident, and he finished a lap down because of that. If you adjust it for the number of healthy car laps, he kind of jumps up closer to Truex and Reddick where they were in terms of fastest laps per healthy car lap. So one of the best cars in last year's race. And he's sitting out there, I think 28-1 at DraftKings was the last I saw. I don't know if it's still 28-1. Let me pull DK. But pull it up here. DraftKings. Yeah, 28-1 at DraftKings. So like that mid-tier range, Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, probably should like Josh Berry. Cindric, I bet like 100-1. I threw a little sprinkle funsy bet on it. I think he's down to 80 at some places. Like, I don't hate him if you can get him at 80 still, because I'm above market on 80-1. He's 85. I think it is at Circa. So, and that's just an equipment bet, right? He's in a Penske car, and Austin Cindric finished 6th at Vegas earlier this year. Austin Cindric finished 11th at Kansas, right? Like, Austin Cindric is a top 12 car. Aside from Charlotte, he's been a top 12 car in speed if you look at Vegas, Texas, and Kansas. He's 80-1.
Another guy that has improved recently and has a good track record here at Michigan. He opened 100-1. I don't think he's anywhere near that anymore. Eric Jones.
I just don't think that. I don't think that they're fast enough. Like, the legacy cars just aren't fast enough. I like him here. I really do. And I think he's a, top 10 type driver, maybe could push into that top 5, but I'm not there on his outright.
Yeah, maybe not on outright. I'd maybe sprinkle if it was still 100. I'm not jumping at a 65 by any means. But 5th at Texas, 7th at Nashville, 13th at Charlotte. I could see Eric Jones getting up there, getting the top 10 finish. Finishes between 8th and 16th in all 3 Michigan Next Gen races. You mentioned Brad Keselowski. I really like Brad Keselowski this week. Obviously, I like Ty Gibbs. I said that. What about someone like Daniel Suarez, who has a back-to-back top 10s here, needs a good run, has led laps in every single Michigan race. He was my early bet.
Top 10s, but actually got robbed of another top 10 in 3 years ago in the first Next Gen race. He was dominating that race and had, I think it was tire issues or got caught in somebody's wreck or something. Daniel Suarez, Trackhouse. I mean, we just saw the speed they had at Charlotte, especially with Ross Chastain. They probably learned some things from that. Dude, this race is wide fucking open. And we haven't even talked about a driver that I'm not going to mention. Well, we have, but we haven't. Like just now when you say medium or whatever type shots, because I wrote them up at Action Network. And once we get off this podcast, it's going to get published. So make sure you're over at actionnetwork.com/NASCAR or just actionnetwork.com or in the Action app. Because I have an article dropping on a driver I really like as well after this podcast with bets.
Yeah, make sure you check that out. But as we were talking before we came on here, Michigan is just like a weird track is the best way I can put it, because I feel like every single race here, something unexpected kind of happens, but at the same time, a lot of what you expect happens. And one guy that I'm very interested to see how he does this week is Christopher Bell. Has qualified top 3 in all 3 Next Gen races here. 6 starts here in his NASCAR Cup Series career. 0 top 10s. Not a single top 10. He, for whatever reason, just does not seem to race well here. His best driver rating, 93.7. That was 2022, first Next Gen race here. He did lead 31 laps in that race. He won a stage. Ended up wrecking and finishing 26th. But for whatever reason, Christopher Bell, like, he's one of those guys that has had a ton of speed on intermediates this year. And theoretically should be good at Michigan, just doesn't have the track record right now to back it up. It could be one of those situations. It's weird to say for Christopher Bell, but it could be a buy low situation on Christopher Bell this weekend.
And another driver that I was kind of, when you were saying medium shots, has a horrible track record here. I'm talking horrible. Alex Bowman, his best finish at Michigan in his career is 10th. He did that twice in 2019. He finished 10th at Michigan. Where's his 9th?
2022.
Oh, yeah, 2022. 9th. I missed that one. But you get the point. His best career finish is 9th. But this year, he's been fucking fast at intermediates. Even at Charlotte, right? He was fast as shit and had an early
lot of bad luck.
Yeah, Nashville, bad luck. Like, the dude is absolutely ridiculous at intermediates this year, but has a horrible Michigan track record. Like, I feel like Alex Bowman at 34-1 or 35-1 or whatever it is a buy low. Just like Christopher Bell, same thing, which we're talking about a lot of drivers. I think this race is wide open. I think it's going to be one of the best races of the year. I think it's going to be it's wide. You can pass. It's fast as shit. I think it's going to be an awesome race. I'm really excited for Michigan.
Yeah, and Michigan's one of those tracks. We get a ton of leaders. Like every single Next Gen race.
In the heat of the day, 2 p.m. Eastern, right? Like, It's going to be a good race. I'm excited.
It is. It's going to be a good race. I've always enjoyed Michigan, and it's sure to be interesting. I do. I think this race is wide open. There's lots of ways that you can bet this. And when it's wide open like that, that's where I really love the top 10 markets, because I think you get a lot of value and a lot of guys there.
Completely agree.
Not to mention, there is a drafting aspect at Michigan because this is such a big track.
Yep, exactly. And that's why, and I talk about this on Running Hot, but, it's going to come out. But I sprinkled a few fastest lap markets, not for like most fastest laps, but the fastest lap of the race. And I think past years will be, a little misleading because now teams are actively going for the fastest lap. If you look at this playoff bubble, the fastest lap might matter, right? And so you look at a guy like Michael McDowell or Some of these guys in the bubble, Ryan Preece, Chris Buescher, like these are all guys that could take advantage of a fastest lap point. And if you find yourself in a spot where you can get a big draft down the straightaway, either the front or the back, and pass them on the straightaway and have clean air into a corner, dude, you're going to put up a crazy fast lap. And I think teams will be actively looking for the fastest lap this weekend at Michigan.
Speaking of fastest laps, that was one bet that I jumped on immediately this week. Tyler Reddick opened 14-1 for most fastest laps. I had to bet it. Like anything like that with Reddick.
Yeah, you messaged me and I woke up and it was 12-1. So I bet it. I didn't track it or anything. It was one of those like, yeah, I'll bet that.
Yeah. Most fastest laps here last year. He's consistently put up fastest lap. I mean, 22 at Darlington, 23 at Vegas, 35 at Texas, 20 at Nashville. Like, the dude's a fastest lap machine. So you get him 14-1 for most fastest laps. Yeah, I'll take that every single week.
Yep.
But yeah, and even like, we're talking about all these mid-range guys. We're not even talking like technically probably what should be the favorites would be like William Byron, Kyle Larson. Larson has always been good at Michigan. He's won here, 5 times? Maybe not that many, 3 times. Logano's a 3-time winner here. Hamlin has 2 wins here. He's been really good here. It's going to be a fun race, and I do think we're going to see a lot of different guys that could potentially win the race throughout the day. But I think it's going to come down to, if you remember last year's race, that's when I was there, and I was watching on track, and I'm looking at how Tyler Reddick was going through the turns and everything else. I'm like, that's the best car on track by far. Like, you can just tell how he's going through the field. I think we're going to see something like that. And I'm going to be there once again this weekend. So hopefully that happens again and I'm able to live bet it. Shout out to Michigan for having legal sports betting. So hopefully I have good enough signal to actually bet it. But I think there's a lot of guys that can take this. And I'm curious to see if we go back to the Ford quote unquote domination at Michigan that we've seen throughout for a long time. Because another guy that we have not talked about yet, Ryan Blaney, who's had the most speed on intermediates this year, Yep.
Well, yeah, we haven't even mentioned Ryan Blaney, and that's like we've talked about so many other drivers, and he's, like you said, been the class of the field at intermediates this year, just won at Nashville. I guess technically Kyle Larson's been the class of the field at intermediates. If you just take raw speed, it's been Larson, but like Blaney's been right up there with the Hamlins and that next tier of right after Larson, the Reddicks, the Hamlins, maybe a little bit of Christopher Bell and stuff. It's been Blaney. And we didn't even talk about, we did, but we didn't, like when you're like medium shots, like Carson Hocevar, right? He's 20-1.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. Chase Elliott had massive speed here last year. And then fell off right at the end there, but had 11 fastest laps. You're on Ty Gibbs even. So William Byron's been awesome at intermediates. This thing is wide fucking open. You know who had more fastest laps than all of Team Penske combined last year? Justin Haley in the Rick Ware car.
That's funny.
5 fastest laps.
Yep.
In the RFK affiliated Rick Ware car.
Interesting. Also noteworthy that, Penske isn't really known for putting up fastest laps, but like you look at the 3 next gen races, you look at Ryan Blaney's fastest laps here, 2, 3, and 3. Joey Logano's fastest laps here. Where the hell is Logano? 1, 0, and 3.
Yep.
So maybe
this is a fade Penske week. I don't know. Even though I took Austin Cindric because he's ridiculously long odds in a couple top 10 markets, but it might be a fade Penske week. I don't know. Like not totally. Like you still have to play the odds, but like the top 2 guys, Blaney and Logano for sure. It might be a fade week.
Yeah, then you look at RFK, Buescher, 14 fastest laps the last 2 years. Keselowski had 7, then he had 18 the year before.
And there's only in a non-green white checkered race, there's only 200 laps here. So like 14 is more than 5% of the race, right? 20 would be
Mm-hmm.
10%. That's a lot. That's even 7 is a lot, or 13 or whatever. Because there's only 200 laps and there's even fewer green flag laps. So, 7 fastest laps is not anything to sneeze at by any means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember how many cautions there were last year, but
there was a good chunk. There was like 7 cautions, I think. In last year's race. Let me pull it up. It was 7 for 41 laps. So there was 206 laps total. So there was only 165 green flag laps.
I'm pulling up 2023 here quick too. If I can find it. One thing to note though this week, in addition to, so I talked about
9 for 43 in 2023.
Yeah, so we get about 40
and 200 laps, so it was 167 green flag. Yeah, so we're getting like in the mid 160s the last 2 years for green flag laps.
So as I was saying, practice and qualifying is good.
So around 160.
Yeah,
my bad.
I wasn't going to correct you with math, but I was going to.
No, I'm just being an idiot.
But so this weekend we got practice and qualifying super early on Saturday. Another big change this year, which I don't know how to think what it's going to do. The race at Michigan has been in August. We haven't had a June race here since I think 2019, if I remember right. It's been a while, and we haven't had one in the next gen era. It'll be interesting to see what that does to these race cars and whether we see a change.
It's a good point.
Or a lot. Yeah, it was 2019. So, 6 years ago in a full new car.
Yeah, really good point. Daniel Suarez finished 4th that day. Brad Keselowski finished 6th. Alex Bowman finished 10th. Joe Logano won the race. So Ford's dominated. Joe Logano won. Suarez in a Ford to finish 4th, and then 6, 7, 8, 9 were all Fords with Keselowski, Harvick, Newman, Blaney.
Bowman finished top 10 that day. Did you say that? I might have missed that.
Yeah, I said that.
Daniel Hemrick.
Daniel Hemrick finished 12th. Luke finished 13th. Paul
Menard in a Ford.
Let's go. Chris Buescher finished 16th in a JTG Doherty Chevy. Fun.
Man. Yeah, this is going to be a good race. I'm looking forward to it. And the weather forecast right now.
No open decent. Cars. 36 chartered cars, and that's it.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah, there's no. I wonder why. If there is a reason. Outside of, they're going from Michigan down to Mexico. Next week's Mexico. I mean, that's a haul.
Yeah.
But Nashville to Michigan's a pretty quick trip. So I don't know. Anybody else you want to talk about at Michigan before we get to our picks?
Nah. I think we're good. I think we covered a lot. We didn't even mention Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Right.
He should be good here. Like Michael McDowell is another one. Like he's had a terrible track record here, but he might have a good race because of Spire,
Mm-hmm.
John
I think he could have
Eric Jones, right, in those legacy cars, and they've been doing well at intermediates.
Spire. I know you don't bet qualifying, but I think McDowell goes out relatively early too. He could be a challenger for that pole.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Picks to win and everything else. Let's see. Last week you had Denny Hamlin. He finished 3rd. I had Ross Chastain, who finished 11th. Pretty much neck and neck in average finish this year. You have 3 wins, though. I only have 1. Who's your pick for Michigan?
Oh, man, this one's tough because it's so wide open, like we were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Larson.
Can't go against that. Or can't argue against that, I guess. Way to put that.
I know he screwed up last year, but like I feel like it's going to be I feel like he's going to be not screwing up. Like this year he's been really good at not screwing up. Like Kansas, he was awesome. Texas, he was awesome. Vegas, he was awesome. And even though he didn't get the finishes at Texas and Vegas that his car was capable of, a lot of that was outside circumstances rather than speed, strategy. And Texas, you just can't fucking pass, that kind of stuff. And we saw Josh Berry win at Vegas with that fuel or with that tire and fuel and all that sort of strategy deal. So give me Larson.
I like it. I will note you have picked Kyle Larson twice this year, and he has 2 wins in those races. So you are 2 for 2.
Let's go.
You can get 3 for 3. My pick to win. I'm kind of debating between 2 guys, but I think I might audible myself here at the last second. I'm thinking about going Ty Gibbs. I'm waiting for your reaction.
I'm ignoring it.
I was gonna go Brad Keselowski because I do think I want to see.
He was the other guy I was considering. Literally, it was the other guy I was considering.
But spoiler alert, I'm going Keselowski in 36 for 36. I'm gonna go Ryan Blaney. Back to back. We said it a couple weeks ago. I said when Ryan Blaney gets a win, I think he's gonna go on a tear and do 2 or 3, 4 in a row. I think he goes 2 in a row. Gets the Nashville win, gets the win at Michigan this weekend. Ford goes back to victory lane, 10th time in the last 11 races at Michigan.
Interesting.
$36 for 36. I just told you mine.
You're taking Keselowski. I think I've already taken Keselowski this year, so won't be him.
Yep, you did at Texas.
Have I taken Chris Buescher yet this year?
You have not.
Chris Buescher.
That's a good one. Yep. That's a good one. I don't think you have, unless you did at Phoenix. I'm missing your picks from like that first couple races.
I'm sure at Phoenix I took like a Bell or a Briscoe or a Blaney or something.
Yeah. I took Blaney. He got 22 points. All right, we're going with the RFK guys, Keselowski and Buescher in 36 for 36. And now DraftKings. By the way, last week you overtook the lead in the DraftKings standings.
I had a good week.
My lineup absolutely shit the bed. I ended up with 112.95 points. You ended up with 228.95 points, which puts you in the overall lead now, 2735.6 to mine 2697.35. Let me share my screen here. By the way, I took down the Minimax this week, and I would have took down the if I would have entered it.
Yeah, dude, congrats. Honestly, like really good DFS week for both of us. I didn't like play or anything, but just my analysis was fucking really good. I wrote up Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace as my tournament plays. I had Daniel Suarez as a core play and Denny Hamlin. Like those 4 right there would have gotten you into a really fucking solid lineup with whatever other 2 drivers you played. So, and then of course you took down the Minimax, which is amazing. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting week for DraftKings, I think, because like we said, we just talked about a whole shitload of drivers.
Yeah.
So I guess you're waiting on my picks.
Yep.
I wasn't quite sure what was going on there.
Oh, I can go first if you want me to. It's up to you.
No. I just didn't know you were waiting on my picks. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So give me Keselowski.
Yeah.
I honestly don't care where he goes in the qualifying order. I don't care if he starts up front or near the front. I just want Keselowski on my team because he's 7,500 at Michigan. And I think they're going to be awesome. Give me good gravy. This is going to be a race. God, I don't even know how to build lineups for this one.
I'll tell you what, look at this price range right here. 8,000 to 7,500 at Keselowski. You got Hocevar, Buescher, Bubba Wallace, and Alex Bowman and Keselowski all in that price range. That's going to be, I think that could be a honey hole this week.
I know, but look who's the nicest price of them all.
You're going with my boy.
Maybe.
Tell you what, maybe. he was in my lineup I made this morning too.
Maybe.
He's so underpriced. He's so good here.
Problem is he goes out 5th in the qualifying order.
Yeah, he might put it on the pole.
He literally might put it on pole, which I guess wouldn't be a bad thing for fastest laps and laps led and stuff too at 6,900.
I'm buying a Ty Gibbs shirt this week, by the way, this weekend.
That's gross.
New number 1 fan.
Oh, that's gross. Yeah, so Keselowski, give me Daniel Suarez.
That's solid.
Give me our fastest lap bet, Tyler Reddick.
Underpriced this week, for sure. 98.
Give me a good driver that has not qualified amazing. Goes kind of late in the order, but should be good here because his teammate has been good here as well. Ross Chastain.
Okay.
Now I have 8,300 average left for 2 drivers. So I might have to go to that sweet spot. But what do I go with in that sweet spot? That's the question. Give me. I can't do it. The salary doesn't quite work out. I might have to drop somebody here.
Say if you went Ty Gibbs, you could almost get up to Byron if you dropped like Chastain or somebody.
Yeah, I was also doing like Bubba Wallace, and then I was like, oh, but all I get is Briscoe from that. Is there any way to I don't know, man. Problem is, like, in this top tier of drivers, I don't love any of them. I still love. I don't know. Like, I like having Reddick. I like having Ross. They're nice values. Dude, this one's tough. I honestly, I don't know. Okay, if I remove Bubba, what if I just put Larson in there? I'm just hypothetically, what if I put Larson there? See, I didn't prepare this DraftKings this week, as you can tell, because who the fuck knows, man? You know who's going out kind of late? Yeah. I can't do that. That's not good. I'd have to drop one of Reddick or Chastain for sure. I don't think I can do that. I think I could do this and nope, can't do that. If I go from Reddick to Chastain, that opens up a little bit more. Sorry, I was just like playing. Nope, not good either. All right, I give up. I'm not entering a team this week. What do I have left there?
You have 5,600 left there.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting. All right. Take Larson down. Put back Bubba Wallace. Well, how much do I have left now?
89.
I'll take Chase Briscoe.
You could also drop Suarez and get Allmendinger and get Elliott.
Allmendinger. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. Drop Suarez. Give me Allmendinger and Elliott. I like that way better.
Yeah. I was going to say either Allmendinger or Zane Smith.
Yeah, give me Allmendinger for sure.
All right. Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Bubba Wallace.
Actually. So hold up. Ross, Keselowski, Allmendinger, Reddick, Ross, Bubba, Elliott. Keselowski, I'm trying to replicate this on my own. Allmendinger, Reddick, Bubba, Elliott. Yeah, no, that's perfect. I like that. That's good.
You like it? All right. Locking that one in.
We're good.
Do they?
Sorry, that was like the most teeth pulling DraftKings lineup I've had to set this year.
Let's say a lot of them you're locked in and you just boom, boom, boom. Do they sell Ty Gibbs t-shirts in adult sizes? I will find out because I'm going to be the new owner of one. All right. Let me get this.
That's pretty funny. In adult sizes.
All right. I'm with you right there with you with Keselowski, $7,500. Give me my boy Ty Gibbs. I'm coming down here and I'm going to punt with a guy that has a ton of finishes in the teens and low 20s here and has had some speed this year. Ty Dillon.
Yep.
I'm going to
I like that one. I was thinking about that one too. Colleague had speed here last year, not just Allmendinger, but Daniel Hemrick, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go William Byron, and I'm going to go Denny Hamlin. Hamlin, Byron, Reddick, Keselowski, Gibbs, Ty Dillon.
My issue with that top five is like they all could just lead, right? Like, but which one?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're wasting a lot, not necessarily wasting, but if you miss, you're wasting a lot of salary. And it's like, if you take Byron and Hamlin, but it's Blaney, Bell, and Larson that lead, all of a sudden all your salary's out the window.
Yeah, it's probably going to be, depending on how qualifying goes, it's going to be a lot of
and the way fastest
balancing
spread out here. And even laps led have been pretty spread out here.
And it's only 200 laps.
Yeah.
So like place differential is going to be quite important this week. This is the week I think you can pay up for place differential.
Yeah. Completely agree.
Where I wasn't really on board with it last week with Larson. By the way, if I don't know if you tuned into my live stream, but I basically said, I'm pretty sure word for word, I said
I did. I tuned in your live stream and I said Kyle fucking Kirkwood.
Yeah. But I said Larson is going to struggle all day, and then he's going to come around and he's going to finish like 8th. Yeah, that's exactly what fucking happened.
I know. How crazy is that? It's like, so there's going to be a Zane Smith's going to wreck on lap 4, and then he does.
Yeah. God. I need more exact rights like that. I'll have but yeah, I do think I really like Ty Dillon this week for a low dollar option to give you a bunch of place. God,
I love just winning massive bets on the 33rd place finisher.
Yes.
Shout out to Cody Ware.
Yes. Oh, all right. You got anything else from Michigan?
No, once we get off this, I'm gonna go tell my editor to publish the piece over at Action Network and track it in the Action app. And first, I'm gonna have to make sure no lines have moved on the bets that I made. No, I don't think they have. Let me check real quick over here while I'm at my computer. Yeah, no, the bets are still at the prices that I wrote up. So in about 10 to 25 minutes, we were aiming for about 6:15 to 6:30 Eastern. Hopefully my piece will be live.
Nice. Yeah, make sure you check that out on actionnetwork.com. And you don't have anything else from Michigan?
I think we're good.
I'll hop off here. Good luck to everybody this weekend. Enjoy the race. We'll be back next week to talk Mexico, the second road course race of the season.
Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I'm just going to call it Mexico.
To me, I think it's at least what I'm, kind of. I've seen past races there, and just looking at the track layout and things like that, getting Indy road course vibes.
Really? Chaos?
Flat, a long straightaway, which of course in Indy is the Indy oval straightaway, and then a lot of twisty stuff in the infield, and it's got that stadium section. So I think the best comp is going to be Indy road course if you're looking for comps for that. But I'll do some more research on it and report back next week on Stacking Dennys.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Peace out. Enjoy the race this week. See you guys.
Y'all.